to the big chair?
He asked me for the little.
You're live.
I'm live. We're live. Oh,
Oh, there it is. It appears we're live now.
I got a
Oh.
There's
pulse.
gonna be
I am
I
alive.
would like to start off by saying that the camera adds 50 pounds.
oh my goodness.
thank you.
Look,
Saying that. What is this silly putty? It looks like a. Nah.
everyone's here already. Look at this.
All right.
Down there.
Are they all here waiting for us?
Jim is like, where's
Hey, y'all.
Waldo over there?
I'm just saying. Hey,
I'm just gonna
y'all.
be right here.
That's perfect.
Have the nasty comments started already?
Yes.
They haven't.
Seriously?
No, no.
I believed it.
How's it going, everyone? How's everyone doing tonight? I gotta make some moderators. Hang on. Talk amongst yourselves.
What is the moderator? Are they going to mediate
on
the
the-
fights? Or is that called?
I guess they can watch comments. And they can put links and things sometimes.
Oh, so they help out?
Yes.
Okay, now that's
Wait,
good.
I
You need
think I can do it from
I
here.
guess.
We're all noobs here.
First
You're gonna
time.
have to forgive us.
First time caller.
Bring it on. Let's go.
The questions coming in.
Is it?
Come on, Jim. Read those questions. Do we have any questions yet?
What button do I mash?
What button do I mash?
My dad used to say, "What button do I mash?"
we got one mod.
We make it a little folksy.
PG Nano Farm. Moderator.
Oh, we found a moderator.
Thanks,
Stivers.
Mhm.
You're in.
Awesome.
Oh. Uh-oh.
We'll
can just
figure
wait,
it out.
we'll be waiting
We'll
for the-
figure it
Oh,
out.
next conference.
We'll
Wait
find
for
our
the
pace.
questions.
We'll
We got-
talk amongst ourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, whoa. Wholesome Roots is here. How's it going? Arizona Homestead Project.
All right, Arizona
Oh,
Homestead
Warren?
Project.
Is it
Big
Warren?
Bear's here.
That's Warren.
Hey,
Yep.
Warren.
Hey, Warren.
We've never met in person.
Is he still
Chicken
on the road?
Landia's here.
He was on the road. He was-
Almost Homestead is here. You made it, Jay. That's awesome. We're glad.
That's what's in your cups.
What?
It's
Oh,
just water.
Just water.
Just water.
I'm the
Jace-
only one.
Jake-
I'm the only alcoholic.
Jace
Well,
Jacobs
oh,
is here. Oh, we got Mac. How's it going, Mac? Finally got
That
on.
was a
How did
question.
you
What's in the cups?
meet each other?
Oh, boy. Oh,
Oh,
boy.
that's a good one. Well, I met
Like individually?
No, as a
Yeah.
As a group.
we met the Prices because of Handyman. I think Handyman gave them a shout out, and I was like, "Oh, what new people?" I was like, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" And then they were like, "Hey, we should meet up sometime," and then we did. And
Do you
yeah,
want to hear how I found Jim and Jessica? So I went and I looked for the person that I could find with the least amount of subscribers
At the time.
at the time.
Now they're
Now,
way
and
ahead
I
of
was
us.
like, why doesn't this guy have any subscribers? So,
Oh.
and now I knew it. You're gonna be famous, y'all.
I think when you're doing something like this, anybody within an hour is immediately a new best friend.
That's a good point. So for all you people here that don't know, these are the Prices right here.
The prices are right.
Brian and Pam. The Upside of Downsizing, Bill and Yvonne.
Hi there.
Hello.
Introductions.
I don't know if do you guys know her?
Hi.
Whoa, Dan. Dan's Organic Food for Sparkle Farms here. Oh my goodness. Oh, there's questions. We got questions.
How did you meet?
What made you all choose the
Oh.
desert? Anyone
Well,
wanna fill
Opt-out permit.
in?
Yeah, Cochise
Well-
County is real attractive because of the opt-out, of the ability to opt out of inspections. But Yvonne and I had actually lived in Phoenix 7 or 8 years ago, and then we had moved over to Savannah, Georgia, for another 7 or 8
Yeah.
years.
Almost.
And I just was missing Arizona, so we wanted to find a place where we could pretty much do what we wanted to do, and that wouldn't be quite as warm as Phoenix. So we ended up here.
That sums it up.
Are you on?
We were 20-year Arizonans, so we looked within Arizona. We love Arizona's weather, so this just gave us a little bit
better as far as freedom and weather.
And I didn't want to get too far away from where my kids live in Mesa.
That's true.
Our kids.
Oh,
Was that Chloe?
Yeah, I heard
So how did you meet
It's
us? How did we? I mean, you
I
guys.
don't even. How did we meet you
I
guys?
don't remember.
So Bill and Yvonne found our
Yvonne
channel
said she
and they
rocked
asked
with
if they
each
could
other.
come say hi. And I think it happened to be like on your birthday. I didn't find out till after the fact.
No,
You
it
guys
couldn't have
drove-
been. Might
It was
have been
real
her
close.
birthday. Because mine's
No.
in October.
Yeah, right.
That's
But
when
we've
it
been here in
was.
October.
It was.
oh,
But
homesteading the
we
hard
came
way.
in October.
How are you
We
guys
were
today?
out on the butterfly.
It was.
Okay.
Butterfly,
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So you just came out to say hi.
Uh-huh.
You were looking at the land.
I get it.
Right. Yeah, right. Because
Okay.
we looked around for land here. And
Right.
Kind of discovered.
Oh yeah, because you guys were looking over there, but you were still looking.
How we doing?
Yeah,
guys?
we
We
were
all
looking
right?
around.
Yeah.
We all right.
There's got to be a bunch of questions rolling in.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
You can put your questions in all caps. It'll make it a little easier.
Ooh,
Well, that's a good idea. There you go.
Jinx.
The brains of the outfit.
What's the biggest challenge for new homesteaders?
Oh, that's a good question.
Pick one. It's hard to pick
Living
one.
in the
But
Northeast.
I think not for us. It was finding the property. That was the biggest. I mean, finding the property. Once we had the property found, it just all started kind of falling into place.
Yeah,
But,
then
you
one
know-
project comes after the other. I mean,
Just out of necessity, all of a sudden you're going to need to have water. You have to have solar and all your other amenities. And but really finding the land and finding that balance. How far away from civilization do you want to be? And how close to amenities do you want to be? I wanted to be further away. I was okay being an hour away from a grocery store.
I was not.
I was
But
not.
Yvonne mixed that. So we ended up here in St.
we
David.
have a little bit of the best of both
And we're
worlds.
glad we did.
Yeah,
We're real
right.
happy with our
Yeah.
property, But I don't know. I came into the whole thing with the idea that we wanted 100 acres, and I did not want to be able to see the
Really?
smoke. Yeah,
The
wanted-
smoke of the next
I did not
neighbor,
want to
that's
see
good.
the smoke coming out of a neighbor's chimney.
Wow.
I mean,
That's out there.
so and we ended up here, but it's okay because being close to people like this, it affords. Yeah, it's nice to have neighbors and community, and
Right.
It
You
is.
know,
we can help
really,
each other. Like what you
helping each
said,
other out.
this
That's a big part of this whole gig.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, Chloe.
so the Bee Lady Apiary, she asked to talk a little bit about our channel, Green Dream Project. We got into permaculture. So that led us to finding land. So we want to try and be as sustainable as possible out here. We want to try growing our own food and try and do things as environmentally as responsible as we can. Can you guys hear us okay? Are we how's the sound? Just want to make sure. Just want to make sure if anyone can hear us out there. Oh, what else? What other questions?
Has anyone been bitten by a snake?
Oof.
No.
Not,
I don't.
Not
That's
yet.
right.
Not yet.
I
Thank-
saw it.
Thankfully,
I
no.
saw a snake. We saw three. We've seen 3 snakes.
We haven't seen a ton.
Oh, rattlesnakes.
When
Last
we
year,
got
right?
when we got here, our property was really bare. I think partly because of our previous owner. So there weren't a lot of grasses and things. It wasn't a good home, I would say, for snakes. So we've seen a couple, but we haven't been in danger at any point, I don't think, or we haven't gotten that close to them.
Oh,
I don't want to jinx it. We
Right,
haven't seen
right,
any on
right.
our property yet. So hopefully.
I walked right by one, and it didn't even rattle. So, but luckily, I did not get bit.
But I know you guys have some snake stories, of
man,
course.
we had 4 rattlers last year.
Wow.
We caught 3,
Scary.
but then one remained uncaught.
Oh.
And we've gotten 1 rattler this year so far.
Have they been close to the trailers?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
right,
it's right
right
under-
underneath.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Oh
any
my
yet
God.
this year.
Oh my God, that's scary.
Have you been out to their place yet?
No.
They've got a good bit of grass and things.
Yeah.
It makes a lovely home for snakes,
Yes.
unfortunately for them, I suppose. Yeah. So
Whoa, Rob's here at Sean's Family Garden. We got another question.
Oh, What's the first thing you set up on your land before moving on it?
Oh, that's a good question. For us, it was the shipping container because we needed a place to start putting some of our stuff when we moved down here.
Yeah.
Did we brought the RV first and then the shed?
We did bring the RV before we actually moved on, but really, I mean, it would have been a shed for us too. It was right after we got here, but the first thing we did was a small shed.
Yeah,
Oh, it was the first
yeah.
thing
I mean,
we
we were in a trailer park while we were looking for land, and when we did make the purchase, we came out to the property, decided where we were to put the trailer, and we prepared the site by using a hand tamper and tamping down, like a 30 by 40 section of the property, so that it would have a good stable level base for the trailer. And then the deciding purchase was a garage in a box, a big tent that we bought over at Tractor Supply. And that allowed us to empty out the trailer and empty out our truck because we had all of our worldly possessions with us. And it allowed us then to, once we got the truck empty, we could start working.
How's it going at Papa Pepper? Papa Pepper made it here. Stacy, here we grows
Papa
again.
Pepper, I like that.
Oh my goodness.
Is Papa Pepper?
Yeah.
There are a lot of peppers over at Papa Pepper.
Are there?
I love peppers.
I love
Just
lamb.
thought I'd throw that
I
out
love
there.
lamb.
Oh, building with Todd. How's it going, Todd?
Okay, Carol Hardy. So she asked which growing zone we're in. I believe it's 8A.
That sounds right.
Yep.
I didn't know there was
I can
an
never
A
remember
or
A or
B.
B, but yeah, that's right.
What's the difference?
Wait a minute, they're supposed to ask the questions, not you.
But maybe someone else is
We have a
too
question
interested.
from Yvonne.
Until the next question is coming in.
Yeah.
If you could change one thing about where you live, what would it be?
That's easy for us. Well,
Oh,
I was going to say erosion, but that's a good one too.
wind and erosion.
Yeah, we've got an erosion issue on our land. I mean, it's different for everybody, but we've got a big erosion issue. So,
Yeah, I'd say the erosion would be first. My first
How
choice.
about you guys?
Oh. The name of our street. I hate our street name. I'm not even going to say it, but
you have to spell it.
in the
everybody.
past, I got to tell you, in the past, we've looked at homes before we decided to do homesteading. We've looked at homes, and we actually have seen homes that we liked and thought, but I don't want to live on a street with that name, because we live on a street with a weird name that every time we say it, it's going to have to be spelled. So for the rest of our lives, we're now going to
if
be
that's your
spelling.
biggest complaint, I think you've done all right, though. That's really good.
I guess if we could, yeah,
That's good.
Us. What would you say?
Wait, what was the question? I'm totally behind you.
If you could change one
If
thing
you could
about
change one thing, your land.
Oh,
I
where
think
you're
the
at.
wind for us is a
Oh.
challenge. It's
the wind is tough for sure.
yeah,
It is.
especially this time of year. It's
Yes.
really strong. How do you get your water?
Well, water is a challenge for us. So we don't have any well or anything out there. So we're getting it trucked in right now until our water harvesting is set up.
Oh, so for us, we have a well share.
Both of these guys
Both,
have well
yeah,
shares.
so-
We do as
So
well.
This was pretty easy, but we do want to.
I think we both want to transition to
Yeah.
catchment.
To be really independent and
Yeah.
don't have to pay a bill.
We're-
It's
we're-
another bill.
Yeah, we're both in the process. I mean, we just recently off a Facebook Marketplace, we bought 5 100-gallon rain barrels, and the solar shed that we're building. If you follow us on the Upside of Downsizing, we have probably the ability to catch 100 to 105 gallons for every inch of rain. So we want to be ready, at least with that small rain catchment system, for when the monsoon season comes. And we figure we'll probably be on our well share, I'm guessing, probably for another 6 months, or maybe even till the house is built.
Right.
Yeah.
But because the
this is
house
gonna
is
be a
actually
roof.
going to give us the roof. We're not going to build a separate rain roof or anything like that. We're going to use the roof of the house as our main water catchment system. So
Jim's working on it, right?
well, I'm
You're
trying.
working on it.
I'm trying.
To get it done before the monsoon. So.
Sparkle Farm asked if everyone left had to leave a job to move here.
Yeah.
Not me.
Half and half.
I
I
used to
didn't.
work.
Yeah, you actually worked
I
when we
worked
came down
online.
here until for a while. Medical transcription.
Did it in the trailer for. Pam's had a job ever since we met.
I would serve him his meals, feed him. Yankee feed. Eat your soup. No, I didn't actually feed him. Now I'm getting hot flashes.
Okay, how about this? Why did you decide to go off grid and do homesteading?
He didn't want to work.
That's
It's a lot of work.
That's a biggie. I mean, I applaud and envy those out there that love their jobs. And I liked my job for a long time, but it got to the point where my job made me so unhappy. That is a major driving factor. I'll admit it. My job made me very unhappy.
And I'm from the
So that was a
country, so
biggie.
I wanted to be back in the country.
We still buffering?
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Did we cut
looks
off?
good.
Can you guys can anyone still seeing us
It's
or
moving. Are we good?
okay?
Are we on?
Okay, I think we're good.
Did we? What was who?
Why did we go off grid?
Oh yeah. What about the rest of you guys?
You know, we've actually renovated several homes, and we've been doing that now for, I don't know. Actually, when we first met in Germany, we had a really incredible. I guess it was like an apartment. It was a condominium. It was a full floor of a condominium from a building that was built in like the 1880s, and we gutted it and completely redid it, and that was really the first project that we did together. But we've done a couple homes since then, 3 actually since then, and this was just kind of like a natural progression to get to. This is the biggest project we've ever done, and the most
We
rewarding
also-
too. This is it. I mean, this is just the ability to create your whole atmosphere. I don't know what the word is. Your whole little, you know,
Your
Whole
bubble.
little
Your
universe.
bubble. Your bubble.
and
Yeah,
build
and
it the way you want to build
Build the
it.
way you want it, and don't have this much bills to pay.
Yeah.
To be more free to do or discover yourself again and do different things, you know, and not necessarily have to go to a job.
I'm trying, Todd,
You
I'm
don't
trying.
like.
How about you? Well,
What do
you
you
guys, although it drives your channel,
Todd's laughing at me intensely.
because of
What's going on
watching
over
the
here?
comments. You guys should answer that one too. I mean, I think most people probably know, but
What is the thing about the footprint? I wanted to like make the footprint smaller or whatever you call it.
your
Carbon
impact.
Impact on the
yeah,
earth.
our-
That was a big influence. What about you guys? No.
What?
Permaculture.
Yeah,
You got
You
to provide feedback, Jim.
Wait, what's the question?
What made
you go off grid?
What made the control, like taking more control in one's life and that freedom and independence.
That's a good one.
Just because in our modern society with all the conveniences and everything like that, you give up so much control over your food, over everything. Yeah, it's such a fragile system that we live in. Taking yourself off grid, doing a homestead, doing more for yourself, it's just taking more of that control back into your life.
I think I caught some of it. I think in the past live stream that we followed, I think what he said was it's not even necessarily, even if you don't kind of go all the way with all those things. It's for me, it's about an awareness too. Even if you make certain choices to do something one way or another, even if you do still, let's say, plug in here and there or whatever, being aware is a big part of it for me. I think so. Even if you make a few choices one way or another, being aware is a big deal.
How'd you find your properties?
The realtor.
I-
Diane. Oh,
I will say, I don't know how many people on here know, and he's a bigger
Derek,
channel, of
Derek.
course, Derek Handyman, who is our neighbor. When we realized, we knew we wanted to stay in Arizona, like I said, because we liked Arizona and the weather and everything. I assumed wrongly at the time that I'd have to go north to get a little bit more temperate.
Mhm.
And I think I said this in one of our videos in the past, but when we found out we could come south, and when we found Derek, who was doing a lot of the things we wanted to do, that really drove us this direction. And then, of course, Cochise, we learned about that after the fact and everything. So that was a big driver. Seeing someone else do the things we wanted to do in this location, we were kind of sold from that moment, to tell you the truth. So on the area. And then it was just, we used a real estate agent to help us find that. I don't know about you guys, but
We had looked at property.
That's
We
what's good.
we started looking for property 2-3 years ago.
Mhm.
We started looking
Yeah,
on
on and off we
eBay,
looked, right.
doing auction sites and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and we
But
a
we
lot of-
also learned.
Yeah, there's a lot of
that-
property, like cheap property in Nevada and things like
Yeah,
that.
and we learned it's not a good idea to buy long distance without seeing it, without feeling
Boy, that's
how how the countryside feels. And
that would be
that's
if
why
we
I
could.
think we gotta go
yeah.
out here before we make our final decision and
Exactly.
really look around, drive it, and see, and then.
It's funny. When we moved from
Mhm.
Phoenix to Savannah, Georgia, we bought our house sight unseen
Right.
over the internet, and we had contact with a really good real estate
Wow.
agent. He did a little
That's wild.
video for us,
Mhm.
but that's nothing like reality.
Mhm.
And put it this way: when we arrived at that home, we then found the nearest Motel 6, and we were in that motel for 2 months while I gutted that house.
Oh my god.
I mean, it was a disaster. So that was a lesson learned. We decided, and just that's the takeaway, really. If you want to buy property, just resist that urge to buy it sight unseen, because you're going to want to know. You're going to want to get a feel for it. You're going to want to know what the dirt roads are like that you're driving. What are those roads
Yeah.
going to look like after
And
a
how
big rainstorm?
Right.
It's-
How far away
it's
is
crazy.
it to grocery shopping?
Yeah,
What is
sure, all
the
the
infrastructure around it?
We had looked at we
And-
went to look at a piece of property here in this area, and it was awesome, and the price was reduced, and we thought, this is gonna be it. We're gonna buy this property. And we drove along this dirt road, and it took a dip, and the stream was kind of trickling across it.
Also, you
And
have
I
to
thought,
watch
I'm not
going
driving
it.
through that. There was too much mud.
Mhm.
And I thought, imagine what this would look like after a big rainstorm. You'd be cut off.
I know what it looked like.
Well, these
Yeah.
guys, now they would have bought it.
How'd you guys end up in McNeil?
Yeah, so we did a bunch of
We were
research,
searching for a while.
like all over Cochise County, years ago, right? I don't
Yeah.
even know when we started that search. Yeah, we bought our land in like 2014. Like we went all over Cochise County,
Mhm.
up to Bisbee, down around, and then
Mhm.
we came across the property that we got. It was like the best one we had seen because there were so many places you can't even get to.
Mhm.
Like there's no access.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you
I
never buy
came across
land
that.
sight unseen.
Uh-huh.
Make sure
Access can be a big deal.
you
Oh,
go
yeah.
check it out and see if you can even get there.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
But when we found this place, it was still like a few miles off of like any kind of paved road where we're at, but the roads were pretty decent, and even the smaller road to get there, like we're right on the corner, so
Mhm.
it was pretty decent. We're like, okay, that's the only one we've seen.
And you
that.
bought that property in 2014?
I think so.
Yeah, they had a
Wow,
couple
2014,
before
2015, something like
they
that.
went.
Oh wow. Cool.
That's nice.
How often do you help each other out?
Well, these guys, they're like right next to
Well,
each
we
other.
can walk
so-
to each other's house.
Yeah, we walked over here tonight. I mean, it took us 6 or
10
7 minutes,
Oh,
maybe
for
8
the-
minutes.
It takes me about 10 minutes,
10
to
minutes,
get
yeah,
over
would
to
say.
you.
So I mean, we communicate several times a week, or
Often.
see each
Yeah.
other 3-4 times a week.
Yeah.
So
I had fun helping them with their shed.
Right. Have
Right.
been over a few times. Mhm.
and I
couple
came over and
times.
helped Brian like with his digging post holes
And with our garage.
and with the garage.
It's
and we
easy
came
when you're
over.
that close,
Yeah.
but
I like to ask
I think
questions too, so I call in a lot.
you guys are
And,
like
I've
an
got his
hour
number
away.
blocked.
And Derek's been really helpful.
Oh, Derek,
Derek has been a
very,
super help.
very
We've tried to
helpful.
help him too. but
I mean,
he's
these
a
guys
big help to us.
live right next to pretty much real close to Handyman, so he's been out there with
His
his
tractor.
His
tractor
tractor,
and everything like that, and that's been a big help.
Big
Yeah,
help,
when you
big
find your property, see if you got a nice, friendly neighbor with a tractor.
With big heavy
Yeah,
equipment.
that'll be your best buddy.
We'll definitely. We've been out to your place a few times already, but it is, we're about an hour apart, so it's a little tougher. But as the bigger projects come, we'll be there.
Right.
Yeah. If you need our help, please ask us.
Your mom's made it.
Hey, I caught her on here.
Hey,
My
Mom.
mom's here. Hi, Mom.
Mom
Yeah.
Price.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Jessica's mom.
I bet my
I don't know if
mom's
she's
not
still
here.
on here, but I saw her.
I didn't give her the link.
I wonder if any of my family made it. I have
Yeah,
a
my
giant
family is
family.
sleeping.
Do they have internet access?
Oh yeah. I don't know if they're.
I
I
know.
don't know if they're
So
there or
not
not.
just in this room, but
I
I know,
hope they do.
Jim, you've been out to help a few, and you've probably gone on some, but I know Crew often needs a babysitter. But
Who needs a babysitter?
yeah.
Did you show
But
him your shirt?
I'll just leave it.
But
yeah.
but these guys have all offered, like, hey, you need any help, just give us a holler. I mean,
Right.
It's
everyone's
definitely gonna
been so
happen. It's
amazing
definitely gonna
and
happen.
willing to lend a hand.
Yeah.
I just don't want people out where we live because I don't want them seeing all the mistakes I make out there.
Don't be too proud, Jim.
All right, people are asking about animals. Does anyone have livestock?
Yeah, we got her right here.
Yeah.
Chloe with her new name, Tasty Morsel.
We do not.
I would love to have a goat, but we travel around a lot, so it's not really.
Right now, it'd be tough for us. How about
Yeah.
you guys? Do you still have?
Well, we have 2 chickens.
Yes, that's the closest I think we come is 2 chickens.
Yeah.
2 chickens in a hen house, not 50. I see you there.
More to come.
Yeah, more.
There is a
we're
plan
gonna
for
we're gonna
more,
definitely
right?
get more
Yeah.
chickens.
And other eventually.
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Eventually. You don't want to get too many right away.
Yeah.
Definitely start out slow and
Uh-huh.
you don't want to get a whole bunch of
Especially when
animals and be
you're
like, oh, we have no way
Yeah.
of taking care of these.
Yeah. First things first.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Let's get a house built.
You need yourself taken care of first, I suppose, before you can take care of them.
Gotta scratch my nose off
What were you doing there off camera?
camera. I'm doing secret things off camera.
Oh, how has it been living in a trailer for this long?
Oh boy. Let me tell you,
I
it's
guess we're all in
hard,
that boat, aren't we?
it's
Yeah,
hard
so.
to rinse your hair with a low pressure shower nozzle.
No problem.
Not
there.
this.
That problem is not mine.
We all have long hair. I'm sure the women can relate.
Thanks,
to
Haskins
that.
family. We appreciate you stopping in. Thanks for helping Mod.
That's probably my biggest complaint. I don't really mind it so much.
I mean, everybody's different. There was a question earlier about like maybe what was the hardest thing or something. Everybody's different. I mean, some people are probably going to have a problem with the space, but we've talked about it. We haven't had a problem with the space.
No, we neither because you are a lot outdoors. You work
That's
outside,
right.
and then you.
Thanks,
in the
Broussard
evening you're
Homestead.
inside, and you sleep inside. And I mean, when it's colder, you might be more indoors. But so far,
I think
it's
you
okay.
adapt.
I don't have a problem.
You
with
really
it.
do
Right.
adapt
Yeah,
to it.
you
don't
adapt
you?
to it. Right.
And think of how luxurious a 600 or 700 square foot home is going to be after living in a
all the
200.
time.
Yeah, and after
Think about
living in
that
a
all the time.
250 square foot trailer. I mean, it's going to be a palace.
How has your experience been?
Trailer? Not bad. I mean,
Yeah. For me, we don't really. I don't have minded too much. You,
because we spend a lot of time outside.
yeah.
Right.
You
Yes,
got to get
yes.
outside. That's the thing. You want to spend too much
Yeah.
time in the trailer.
Helps to be in Arizona.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Well, you could be blown away the last couple of days.
See, now we're hoping to have our solar done in the next 2-3 weeks, and so we use a generator a couple hours a day, and it's a quiet it is a inverter generator, so it's quiet.
And
You
there's a
know,
remote
it's very-
control.
And it's got a remote
convenient.
start.
It's
I mean,
very
we can start it with just push of a button inside the trailer,
My
so
Sparkle
it's
Farm.
pretty convenient. But that and,
But you get used to this fact that you you can only plug in
Really?
your phone
Yeah.
when the generator is on.
That's a
You know,
general
you can-
comment. It's all about what you get used to.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
But for us, the big thing was when we got the water lines all organized, and we got the water hooked up to the trailer, and we actually had running water. I mean,
this was,
without using a pump,
Mhm.
in the trailer. That
That's
was
nice.
modern living.
Yeah,
was-
right.
that was awesome.
it's all about
This was
perspective.
this-
It's all about perspective.
It's the little things. All of a sudden, you really you take what you always took for granted in your
Mhm.
stick-built house. All of a sudden, you realize, you got to work for certain things.
And you use it a little differently.
It doesn't
Yeah.
make
When you wash
appreciate-
dishes, you want
Right.
Awareness
watch out
again.
to the
Awareness.
awareness about
Exactly.
the usage of all.
And
those
even though
things.
we're
It's
on a
kinda-
well, we still were really mindful about how much water we use, because we know at one
Us
point
too.
we're shutting that well
Us too.
down, and we're going to be going to rainwater catchment. So we're going to have to be conserved to a certain degree.
We definitely want to see that Broussard homestead. Put that up there.
Oh, here's a good question. Were any spouses opposed to homesteading, or is that everyone on board from the get-go?
Not here.
Yeah.
No issue here.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think.
No,
You guys?
we were all on board.
I don't know about you, but it's a question I get often when I tell people if she's not around, or the immediate question is, "What's your wife think about that?"
Yeah.
And she was more in than I was, because she grew up in the country, and so that has not been an issue for us at all.
Yeah, everyone better be on the same page, otherwise it
Yeah,
is
That would be
not-
that would be tough.
That
You
would
are
be tough.
That would be tough.
You are not.
If one of
gonna
you was
make it.
fighting it,
there's just
I
too much.
think that would be hard.
Too many sacrifices. I mean, sacrifices. That's a
No,
relative
but
term,
if
but
you have to convince somebody
Right.
to a certain lifestyle,
Right.
it is just forcing someone. So and that will not.
For the most
last.
part,
Uh-huh.
I've been having a great time, and I was telling him the other day that if we hadn't done this, we wouldn't have met all
Oh
the
yeah.
people that we've
That's true.
met. We have met so many nice people, and I am really, really happy.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
bad.
absolutely got to
Something
agree
that-
with that.
yeah.
You got to agree with that 100%.
Mhm.
It's so funny because when we lived in the city, I never.
I was just
I'm a
gonna say the same
loner. I
thing.
didn't want to see anybody. I just wanted to be by myself. I
I
went
was
to
gonna say
work,
the same
came home,
thing.
and just leave me alone. And so, really, when we came out here, I thought I'm just going to be alone. I want to be out here because I'm going to be by myself.
I thought the same thing.
I am more social now
Yeah.
here in the middle of nowhere than I ever was
Yeah.
living in the city.
I was just saying that in the last video.
Is that? That's
you
where
live
I
in the
heard it.
city. You live in the city, and then you don't talk to anyone.
Yeah.
When we
You
moved
pass
out
a
here-
neighbor going to the mailbox.
Yeah,
You barely
right,
say
exactly.
hi.
It's true. We had neighbors all around us, and maybe a couple across the street.
And it wasn't
Saw them
their
everywhere.
fault. There was nothing wrong with them. It was
No,
just a
that's not
different
happening.
dynamic.
Everyone
right?
had
But when
their own
you're in
little
this world,
world, yeah.
you want to help others and you
Yeah.
want to hang
And
out.
you-
And how much we all have in common.
Right,
That's
this is
what
your
Taylor
like-minded
Phillips,
people,
what's
right?
up?
You have shared experiences and goals.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Right.
Laura's on here.
Oh, hi, Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Who's Laura?
Who's Laura?
Who's Laura?
That's my aunt.
Oh, hi,
Hi,
Aunt
Aunt
Laura.
All right, what are 3 must-have items on your homestead?
Ooh,
Bucket.
good question.
Number 1, bucket.
That's
5-gallon
that's a
bucket.
valid answer.
That's,
That's a valid
that's,
answer.
that's, that's an excellent question.
That is an excellent
That's a question. I'd have to think about that question, actually.
I mean, if it's
I mean,
the
it's-
basics and this is
3
water,
must have.
solar.
Yeah, but I'm not sure
no,
they-
but
If it was
you're
meant,
gonna go further than this. As
Yeah,
in
I'm not-
something
I'm-
else besides this.
You can
Because it's
interpret it a
significant.
few ways.
right.
Uh-huh.
You could say the necessities of power, water,
Yeah,
things
yeah,
like
right.
that. But
Yeah.
Must have.
buckets,
Deodorant.
bucket's not a bad answer, really.
Deodorant.
Depending on how you're doing things, bucket's not a bad answer.
You got it. You got it, Warren.
Wipes. What do you call them? Baby wipes? Sorry. Sorry, folks.
Unfiltered Pam, I warned you.
I was gonna say you warned
I
us.
warned you.
It's on
We had to drink.
This is my second. This is my last beer. Second and last beer.
She's a cheap drunk.
I am.
Does anyone have a problem with rodents?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I hate to say it. We
Yeah.
didn't for a long time, but
Mice.
we've got some mice in a few of our, you try and set up storage fairly early. I know you guys did. We did a shed and we're getting some mice. So it's just beginning. And
The
I'm not
evidence
quite
is
sure
there.
yet how we're going to handle it, but a little bit. I wouldn't say it's out of control or anything, but we do have to do something.
Yeah. We don't have any problems with rodents yet, I guess we could say.
It
But
took about a year.
But we also
Yeah.
have plans to get a cat or two, like literally like a barn cat, which is something that's very common when you live on a larger piece of property. And, we've had cats in the past and they take care of the problem. That's their job. So
We might get a cat.
now this little one here,
Maybe.
Chloe, she'll dig in holes. She'll find
What do you
like
know?
a ground squirrel hole or something. And she'll go crazy digging, but she hasn't caught anything.
How about
Watch
you?
out for snakes, young lady.
Exactly right.
I've heard about you guys running with snakes, but any other?
What about
There are definitely rodents out where we are.
Are they causing you
Oh.
trouble?
Are you seeing them or just seeing the holes in the ground?
Yeah, the
we've
holes in
seen
the ground.
What are the kangaroo rats? We
Oh,
got?
yeah.
Yeah.
Pack rats. And I know they've gotten into the compost, especially when it during the deep
Oh, yeah,
winter.
They're getting into
seen
ours. They're
We've
getting into
seen the
ours.
tunnels in the
Yep.
compost.
Where in the sides or in from the top?
Top.
Really?
The new one
Yeah.
has a hole in the top, but we
Yeah.
poured water all in it, so
Yeah.
flush
But-
them out. Poor things. I know it.
But I mean, there's certain things you're just going to have to expect. We're living.
True.
We're living on the land. You know, it's.
I
I
assume
mean, heck, when we lived in
invaded their
Savannah,
land.
well, I can tell you a story. When we bought our house in Savannah, there was a little detached garage, and inside that garage, when we first, this is a nightmare. When we first went into this garage, there was like an old desk or something in the corner. So I said to Yvonne, "Come on, let's move this desk out of here." We grabbed it, and I'm not kidding, 5 or 6 rats like that big went running up the walls.
Whoa.
So I mean, we were living downtown so we were in a city, and it was rats.
Yeah,
Those were
because
just rats.
also it was empty for a longer time.
Right. So here we've kind of
How
come
big
to.
were they?
They were big. Oh, they were bigger than that.
Oh my
We've
gosh.
we've come to their environment. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Mhm.
That's what I keep telling Brian.
I guess I have a bigger
Yes, we've come
problem,
to
but I
their-
mean,
yeah.
we have a lot of ants. We have a lot of like ant hills.
we have a good
So
bit.
do we.
I
We have
mean,
a good bit.
you just kind of everywhere you walk, but you just learn to ignore them. You just kind of walk
Have
over
you seen?
them.
Haven't you
Although
seen
Yvonne
their
got
video?
bit by an ant the other day, that
Oh,
was kind of
yeah.
painful.
Yeah.
You know. What video?
Oh, they did an ant video.
You guys did an ant
Oh,
video?
Maybe a while
Native.
ago.
Was that a
Yeah,
native?
that was a
Plants?
while ago. That was a native plants and animals.
We were on a quest. I love that. By the way, I love the intro.
I think
Yeah.
I've watched all of your videos.
'Cause we had
like,
a-
even the urban.
Yeah, we had to do that on the harvester ants because there's so many harvester ants.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys got
Yes.
harvester ants.
What do they
Those are
look
the big
like? How do you
ones?
know what they
What-
look like?
Small red, but they have big heads.
Well, we got
Yeah.
red ones.
We have
Very
several different
territorial.
kinds too.
Yeah,
You can
right.
tell there's
Yeah.
there's several different
There's like a
kinds
big
around.
bear area, right?
I should
Where
take a picture of them.
Mhm.
we have all different shapes and sizes.
How many acres does everyone have?
We have 8.
We have 8.
40
Woo!
Nice.
You win.
or lose, depending on how you.
There's
look at
a-
it.
we really wanted more. I wanted at least 20 acres, and what's funny is when I look at our property now, I still wish we had more, or I wish we were a little bit more isolated. But during our search, just as an example, we looked at a piece of property that was only 4 acres, and it was in the middle of nowhere. So it might as well have been 200
It
acres.
depends. Yeah, sure.
It was,
Yeah,
I mean,
no one around,
you would have paid property taxes and had to develop 4 acres, but you would have had a surrounding area that, for all intents and purposes, belonged to you.
Yeah.
We're lucky.
Oh,
We've
and
got
that's what
kind
I
of that
got
set
here.
up here.
Yeah.
We
Our
have state-
neighboring,
is it state owned?
not right up against us, but our neighboring properties are, let's say, not very usable.
Hey, CB, glad to
So-
see you.
So we have 8 acres, but it looks like we have a lot more
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
so
but you
it,
are also so tucked away. You really
And we're kind of at the
away from
end.
the-
Like
Right.
is it
Yeah,
a
you don't have the neighbors.
cul-de-sac?
So.
Like
sort of.
a-
I mean, we're kind of at the end of a street, so yeah, we
right.
feel like we have more. even
That's
though
a
we don't
fancy
really-
name for a dead end. Cul-de-sac.
a mountain
How do you guys-
cul-de-sac.
That's the high rent district.
How do you guys like your 40? Do you
Oh.
want? Would you have wanted more? Would you have wanted less? Would you do anything
Citizen
differently?
did.
Well,
Wait. Oh.
I think
Are you happy with 40?
it's good. Like, well, we're probably not gonna even utilize all of that. Like, a lot of that will probably be wild still.
That's nice though.
Yeah.
But it's kind
nice
of like
to
a
have
buffer. It's
as
kind
well,
of a buffer.
no one else can
You know, it's
get on it.
I mean, we've looked. There's a neighboring property to 8 acres, and it's available. I guess. I don't know.
It's not on the market.
It's not on the market, but I
yeah,
don't know. But no
it's-
one lives on it, and
maybe one day
I've actually
if,
walked through it, the property a
Mhm.
couple of times, and there are some bigger washes, nothing like what you guys have.
We have a big wash.
But and I thought to myself, because we were thinking if it was available, we would buy it. Our property. I don't think anybody's ever going to buy it. So why should we?
That's the best kind of property. right?
Exactly. We don't have to pay for it, but it'll serve the purpose of being a buffer zone.
That's the
between
perfect
us and
neighbor.
Somebody else. Yeah, exactly. Now you're thinking the same thing. That's the perfect neighbor. Look at that. There's the straw. Isn't that beautiful?
Does anyone have plans to get honeybees?
Oh, I've wanted
You thought
bees.
about
Yes.
it, right?
We got a lot of natural bees
Yeah, right.
around
Yeah.
us
We
now.
do.
I mean, I kind of toyed with the idea that bees might be interesting.
I'm not opposed to it, but I know nothing about it. I
Yeah,
know
me
nothing
neither,
about
but
it. So
need to learn them.
Seems like there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
That's what YouTube is
That's
for.
right.
Yeah.
I want a house before
is that
I plan on anything else.
is that
Oh,
anywhere?
you are
Is
so
that anywhere on your
demanding.
list?
I just want a house. Is that
I
too
think,
much to ask?
I think bees could be one of the first things that we do
Really?
before many other animals, possibly.
That's
yeah,
one
we
on your
definitely
list?
want to. We definitely want to do bees.
I mean, all the things you could do, honey, candles, all the things you could, all the
Yeah.
products that you could make from the byproducts of
And
bees.
then you start blowing your stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
And they're
like,
tasty,
oh,
too.
depending, like, mhm.
Wait, you
Deep fried.
Oh, what?
Deep fried. Yeah, you pop them like popcorn.
Oh God.
What's up, Carlton?
What's the hardest thing to grow out there?
The hardest
A
thing.
house.
You guys have probably tried the most.
I planted those
Yeah,
house
right.
seeds. It's just not happening
That's not
yet. We haven't tried growing anything yet,
No,
so I don't
it's
know.
very
I mean,
little.
we've only been on our property since the beginning of December,
Right.
of 2018.
Yeah, that's a
So,
tough.
Yeah, there
Um,
was not a going season.
trees don't seem to want to grow out here.
Well,
but
we
we
have a lot of
haven't
mesquite
tried.
trees.
Come and take a few.
But I
of
don't
Oh
ours.
yeah, except
Yeah, but I don't
I
know how
wanna-
fruit trees would do. But
We should do
but why
fine.
not?
You guys have tried the most. What's been your experience?
Oh well, the thing is, that's great. Well, we've tried growing in Coolidge, but not too much out here yet.
Yvonne is setting up a straw bale garden right now. She's
Yeah.
working on that,
Yeah.
and that'll be a video coming soon. She'll be planting the beginning of next week.
Our project tomorrow is a raised garden bed. So,
So
Are we
we're gonna
we're all
find
we're
out.
all
Are we
kind of
filming
directing
this?
into that
We'll film
area.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
doing a raised garden bed.
We're building our.
No,
We're
we
building
see
our own
what is
garden.
doing
Well,
or not.
yeah. Jessica's out there with the tiller, still digging those trenches.
Oh,
is that
I mean,
that
she's
a
got
secret
forearms
garden?
on her now. They're like
It's a
ripped.
secret
It's
garden.
a secret garden.
It looks like you're
Pythons.
digging a moat.
Yeah, moat.
Kind of, yeah.
He did say straw bale garden, CB.
Yeah, we did.
I'll tell him who to look for to get tips.
Oh.
Is CB a
Has he
straw
done
bale
it?
garden guy or girl?
Oh
or
man, if
whatever?
you want tips on
Okay.
straw bale gardening, check out CB's greenhouse and garden.
Okay,
Oh,
will do.
I think I checked him out. I think I did.
We ran a couple. We ran across a couple YouTube channels that did straw bale gardening, and several of them talked about a book that I ended up buying over Amazon for Yvonne. I can't even think of who the author is.
Joel
Yep.
Carlson or
I don't
something.
know. He's in Georgia. He's on coastal Georgia. So we thought we'd give it a shot since we've got straw bales laying around the property, and it should be interesting.
I'm curious.
How well are your tents and tarps holding up in the wind?
Awesome.
Well, my greenhouse just blew away.
Yeah, we just lost a
Did
greenhouse.
it blow away?
Yeah, it blew over.
We have
Blew
it. We still have the pieces, but I'm not sure if we're gonna put it back together.
So,
yeah, man. Yeah.
I know you guys have had your own issues with yours. Ours is similar. I think it's a little smaller, but it blew over once. I kind of pieced it back together because we didn't want our what little we have exposed because it'll get eaten really quick.
Yeah.
So we did kind of piece it back together, but just the other day it blew over again, and it's busted up pretty good.
I think we're gonna save it, and then next winter we'll put it back out. Maybe
our tent is from Shelter Logic, and it's kind of Quonset hut shaped, and so it's maybe a little more forgiving with wind. It's 12 by 20, and we also situated it on the east side of a very large mesquite tree. So that
So maybe
mesquite
just
tree is because the winds here come predominantly from the west,
Correct.
and so we have that big tree as a wind block, and it's actually held up pretty well. I mean, even through these 30+ mile an hour winds.
we need to plant
Do a
some
lot of wind.
trees. I want to plant some trees, pine trees,
Pine?
pine trees.
How about some oak?
Yeah.
That requires more water. Does it require more water?
I would require water if I'm going to continue talking.
Is your
Do you want some water?
Seriously.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you really?
I offered it 'cause,
I don't eat. I'm not
Oh.
sure I can. I don't want your
is your greenhouse still holding up?
bacteria.
Here, I'll
It's
get
still up,
It's
but
still, yeah.
you could tell where the prevailing wind comes from because we got holes now
Oh.
in that side.
Yeah.
So
From the
it's-
wind?
It's well ventilated.
Because the wind just rocks
Sure.
that little greenhouse.
Sure.
And it's rubbing against all the connections and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So I'm
Thank
super
you
sure
so
the
much.
sun and the wind is just wearing it down.
So this is our last year for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not gonna hold
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
season.
We just put it up when October.
I was looking at polycarbonate
Oh,
sheets
yeah,
over at a big box store,
Yeah.
otherwise known as Home Depot. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you could actually. I've seen actually people use those on top, right over the top of a shelter logic. They leave the fabric standing, everything the way it is, and then they attach the polycarbonate right on top of it. And
It's a thought.
you know, it gives it that added extra layer of protection.
Has anyone had any emergencies on the homestead?
I don't think we have. Luckily, I don't think we have.
The closest thing we got was when Peter was using those
The
the T-post pounder. Oh man, he was pounding T-posts, and it's a spring-loaded T-post pounder.
Spring-loaded one.
Yeah, so like when you put it down, it like automatically
Oh,
pops
wow.
back
The
up.
pogos.
And he was getting tired, and he was working out there.
He was
It
a little
popped up,
dehydrated.
came right down on his head.
Oh my God.
Those things are heavy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
What
what?
is-
How did he hit his head?
So the
Yeah.
pounder came up off the T-post,
He lost his grip.
lost his grip.
Popped up and
Oh.
came right down on his head.
Oh my
Man,
God.
that could have been really bad.
He was
I
bleeding.
had
He was
the-
bleeding pretty good.
I had a tamper. I was tamping the ground down, and I hit myself in the chin with the tamper. But it was not an emergency. It just hurt real bad.
A valid question though is, I mean, do you know where to go or what to do? I mean, it's a valid question to ask. Is if an emergency arises, do
Yeah.
you know what is
Yeah.
your closest? I mean, we've got Benson.
We've got a hospital. We have no emergency care. There is no emergency care. There's a place in
Urgent care.
Safeway that we can go to if they're open. That's kind of like urgent care. I meant urgent
Oh.
care.
It's in Safeway.
There is no urgent care in
Oh,
Benson.
There's a hospital.
There's a
Oh.
hospital there, but
Okay.
in Safeway there's like almost like a doctor's office
Oh, okay.
that you can go into.
That's good to know.
I asked the prices; it was crazy. I mean, just to ask a question, $75.
What's your guys' closest?
We would have to go to Douglas.
Yeah,
How far is that?
So
from you?
that's like a half-hour drive.
Yeah.
Ooh.
but that accident with Peter caused us to think about like safety. Like, what's the safety protocol out there? And how do you?
It's a valid. I think somebody just asked me recently, what would you do? Where would you go? How long would it take? So it's you got to think about it because you don't
Yeah.
want to think about it after.
Helicopter probably have to come in and get us.
Boy, that'll stop a homestead. And
Yeah, sure will.
what that would cost.
Hopefully that never happens.
Yeah, just using the personal protection equipment and things like that, the right things. And I know as crazy as it sounds, using the right gloves. The first thing I did was I went out and bought a pair of gloves that were designed not to cut. They were like that you could take.
sticker proof or
They-
whatever. Was
And
that?
it-
Those kind of-
You couldn't. They would prevent a cut, but they did not prevent the thorns from a mesquite tree. But we found out that pig skin, if you ever are working with a lot of cactus or mesquite trees that have a lot of thorns on them, the pig skin gloves from Harbor Freight are fantastic. I mean, you can, or barbed wire if you're putting up barbed wire, you can grab
thanks,
that
Anna.
stuff and really
Little
grip it
things
and
like
grip it.
little things like wearing jeans and stuff become important. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
you found out.
Obviously, yeah,
Sunglasses,
very-
eye protection.
I'm a shorts and t-shirt kind of guy, but you
Yeah.
don't want to do that around here very often if you're going to be touching or moving
And you're wearing
doing
boots
anything,
all the
'cause
time.
you'll regret it.
Yes.
You're always wearing boots.
I got
and-
boots I got steel toe. I hate steel toed boots, but I'm wearing steel toed.
So your best plan is to be as safe as you can be.
Yeah.
That's
Cautious.
that's the best plan.
Right.
Safety first.
Yeah, just always be conscious of it.
Prevention.
I mean, like when I was working with a chainsaw, it was always in the back of my mind. I really should have chainsaw chaps on,
You
And
never
I
know.
didn't.
Yeah.
And I
You
use that
never know what's
chainsaw a lot, but
Mhm.
I rolled the dice.
Oh, so how does a well share work?
Oh.
There's a community well that, for instance, in our well share, there are theoretically up to 14 pieces of property could attach to this one well. And it's a very big well and it's very deep and produces water pressure of 100 gallons a minute, 100 PSI. I mean, it's, the water really comes out. And what you basically do is the well share is the water company. Same thing. You pay now for us, we pay an exorbitant flat fee every 3 months. What is it? $150. $150. So it's $50 a month for water, which I guess in the desert people would say that's not that bad. But I like the idea of rainwater catchment. It'll amount to, and then they tack on $20 for electricity and $10 bookkeeping fee. So we just paid the water bill the other day, and it was $188 for 3 months.
And even though we're close to them, we're on a different.
We're on a different. I suppose they can all be different. We happen to be on a well share that has about, I believe, 5 potential properties. Right now, it's really just 3 people. And what we pay for essentially is the electricity to pump it. We don't really pay for the water. We pay an electric bill, and it's small for us. It's pretty small. It's very manageable, but we still want to get to.
That's awesome. I got to tell you, that's awesome because the $50 that we pay per month for the water is essentially, hopefully, going into an account that will then pay for maintenance on the well. You know, if a pump goes out, because it does. I mean, this is a big honking well. I mean, it's pretty big.
And when it breaks,
the feed
money.
lines are they're 6-inch cast iron feed lines coming out of it. It's big. So
in a sense, it's not that different from, like you said, it's
a water
the water
company.
company.
It's the water company.
It's another reason we would like to kind of step away from that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We all want to get away from it.
So with it being dry and the winds, there are concerns about fire.
That's valid. That's valid.
For
Definitely
us, because we got a ton of dry grass out there.
Yeah. We live in like a grassland area.
I've seen fires pretty close by.
So
lightning will hit, smoke in the air. Could be a possibility. Fire breaks or something we want to implement out there.
Yeah, we have a lot of trees on our property, and we did our best around. We cleared a lot of dead brush and a lot of dead branches to try to keep that off the ground, and that would then prevent rodents and would also perhaps reduce the risk of fire. Plus, it also gave us firewood. I mean, we got firewood coming out. I mean, we have a lot more to go. But I mean,
spreading.
You know, right? But we have piles of firewood cut so that when we have our house built and we do a rocket mass heater or whatever we do, I mean, we'll be ready with the fuel. But I mean, it's just dry here. You're right. It's dry and there's high winds.
And it's kind of like the in case of emergency type of thing. It's not the kind of thing you want to think about after it happens. You really have to have a plan. So that's one of the things that I haven't thought about much. I'll admit. Now, our property is actually fairly bare, so some of the things about our property are positives in one sense, and sometimes we wish we had more stuff, for a look or for protection or whatever. But we're actually lucky that we're pretty bare. I think our fire risk is probably low.
We have a ton of creosote. It doesn't seem to burn very well. I'm hoping that we
I don't
would
think
be
it does burn very well.
Protected because we're surrounded by creosote.
Creosote's like a bush. It grows probably about 3 feet, 4 feet tall.
4 feet,
3 to 4 feet tall, and it's kind of pretty. It's got green.
We have a
lot of green leaves on it, and you can get it through Pam's Etsy store. It's available.
You can. The desert rain smell. It's
$5. Super cheap.
Okay, what are some ways each family earns income on the homestead?
What a perfect segue.
Oh.
Absolute perfect segue.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't have planned that better, Jessica.
Go ahead.
Jim.
Oh, she's looking at me. Uh-oh.
I know Jim's reading comments, but you get in here too. How would you answer that?
So we right now are trying to set up. We want to start getting into making more art and crafts, selling things like that, getting into farmers markets, selling things online, possibly some online stores, stuff like that. That's something we're working on right now.
Yvonne's working on. Go ahead.
I started some macrame, so some wall hangings, and eventually I will open an Etsy shop. Or also the idea what you just said on the farmers market, also when on certain occasions, or
And we're
Eventually
thinking,
this
and
could be
also, yeah, we're also thinking, we're thinking about doing a 1,000 subscriber giveaway, which will be then a wall hanging from Yvonne's macrame. They're really nice. They're out of natural wool yarns,
Yeah.
and she incorporates a lot of different things like cactus or mesquite wood. They're kind of cool. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, you guys are both getting up to close to that 1,000 subscriber.
We
mark,
are both
right?
getting
It's a
there.
race. It's kind of a race.
Oh
Oh,
man,
it's a race. It's
I
a-
mean, we're at 897. Come on,
you
people.
passed us
The up,
today.
upside
They
down.
passed us
You
today.
passed us today, but
We're putting out a lot of content.
we should give away something for
I'm sure
1,000.
Pam's an artist as well, like you guys. She has been for a long time.
Yeah, there's her work right up. Oh, it's on.
Oh, it's off the screen,
just
but
on
there's
the-
artwork all around here of Pam's.
Come on,
but
tilt up. There you go.
Oh,
Boom.
there it is.
That's
Yeah.
her artwork right there.
Pam's had an Etsy shop for a
She
long
has a
time,
shop.
and she's
And
been
little
more
rock-
serious
those
at
little-
times
The
about
rocks
it.
are cool. I
She
love
does a lot of
Oh,
different
yeah.
things. She's got a
She
lot of
paints.
skills.
She hand paints stones that with either
I'll
like a
show
design on them
Let's
or
see.
makes them look like an animal, and they're beautiful. I love.
I have
them.
nothing to offer.
He
In
is-
that- I have
he
nothing
is
to offer
a
in that
man
arena.
without
A
talent.
man without talent.
This,
Here you
This
get
is
close.
Oh,
Get close.
Got a
Zoom
third
on
eye.
in on it.
yeah, get in there.
Get in there. Whoa, there you go.
But I think a general answer to that question is
who wouldn't
I mean, it
want
goes
that
back-
rock?
It goes back to the bee thing and
Right,
everything. I
Chase.
think it's just it's a natural progression as you start to provide things for yourself.
Yeah.
It's probably natural that you're going to provide more than you need, and then farmers markets. I mean, that seems like a natural transition.
Yeah.
I would think.
It's hard to find time though to put stuff on Etsy, and I'm having a hard time doing everything that I want to do.
Maybe things will settle down as you get yourself settled, kind of like the animals, and you kind of have to take care of
There's
yourself to a
so
point.
much to
Sure.
do.
Yes.
You got to get settled a little
Yeah.
bit. We're all
It's
early in
just
this journey.
Really
still.
priorities. I would love to get into blacksmithing. That's what I'd like
Whoa.
to do.
Wow.
So, if anybody knows where I can get an anvil, that's serious.
You're
I'm
gonna get a
serious.
response. Yeah,
Honest, I'm looking for an anvil, and I'm not talking about a little Harbor Freight one. I want a real anvil, like a 70, 80, 90-pound anvil, and I'll come and get it. I'm looking for an or if someone's got a great piece of railroad tie, a railroad track that I could use as an anvil just to get started, I would love that. So hit me up.
One more question.
All right. What plants does everyone plan on
Yes.
growing?
Plants.
growing.
Go on, Yvonne. You just. she
I
just
want
went
to
shopping,
grow.
too.
I want to grow salsa.
I opened the jar for
A
salsa.
salsa plant.
I want jalapenos, cilantro, tomatoes, everything, the onions that goes in cilantro. I mean, that goes in
I mean, all
salsa.
kinds of,
And there's
all
your
kinds of
homemade
vegetables.
There's your that's
That'd be
what you
nice.
sell.
And then I would like to have a lemon tree, a lime tree.
salads on it.
I like the olive tree because it just looks nice. I don't know if we could really.
I'll say
It
I'm
depends on the.
I'm
variety.
interested in windbreaks when it comes to
So-
we need some trees. We're gonna have to plant some
Yeah.
trees.
Yeah, trees are number one. You got to get those in. It should be ASAP, right?
Yes.
If not 20
Should.
years ago.
Should.
No, but that's the thing. If you have not developed your land, you don't know where your house is going to be.
That's right.
You want to
It can be
plant it on the right spot. This could be in the way right now. You plant it and
Yes.
this is in the way where you want to build.
Exactly.
Or-
Analysis paralysis.
So why?
That
Also
is
to wait.
everybody here knows.
He's got a
that
t-shirt
is
that
my
says that.
biggest problem.
I need a garden on wheels. Can you put wheels on a,
Sure you could. On a
raised
flatbed,
bed?
on a raised, of course you
You
could.
absolutely can.
Absolutely.
And then we can
Sure you
roll it
could.
out of the way.
Do you guys have plans yet?
We got plans.
Well, I should say. Do you have any that are close? Let's say.
They're holding
Yeah.
Jim and Jessica. They hold the cards close to them.
Yes.
They're not
We'll
telling
reveal
anybody.
anything
They're letting
until
us
the
do
end.
all the talking.
Secret.
And he's saving all his content for videos.
Exactly. I can't release it on the live.
You ain't get nothing for free from this guy. You gotta wait for the video and then click and subscribe and share.
Bill's on to me. Ah.
He's on.
So we're getting close to the end. I
What?
just want to. I know.
What?
1 minute.
Are you kidding? We're out of here.
Many thanks to Big Bear Homestead for throwing this live to us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We really
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you.
that. Thanks for reaching out to us and letting us know. I didn't want to step on anyone's toes, especially not Big Bear Homestead. They are awesome. Many thanks to all of our moderators. They did an awesome job today. Thank you.
Thanks everybody for tuning in and for all your support. We really appreciate it.
Thanks to everyone that
Good.
tuned in. This is
Yeah.
amazing. I can't believe the turnout here. We are so humbled for our first live. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm sorry we didn't get to all the questions. There are so many great questions. We'll have to do this again sometime.
I'd be happy to do it again anytime. So.
All right. Yeah, check out those moderators. They're doing an awesome job. Welcome to Chickenlandia, the Stivers Homestead. The Haskins family vlog. They had to leave. She's getting sick.
Oh no.
From us, thanks to Jim.
The city
Jim drove
stead.
this, so from us, a big thanks to Jim and Jessica. So
Oh yeah, thank you.
they drove
Jim,
this.
Jessica.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks
Good
for
night.
thanks for coming in.
Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Now, got to figure out how to leave. Oh my gosh.
I'm a little surprised we didn't get some comments
I would wait
about
until-
accents.
You might want
I
to
thought we'd get something about some
I did
accents.
too.
I thought
I
they'd
thought
ask
for sure.
where's
It's like, where
everybody
do you
from?
come from?
End stream. That's how you do it.